Welcome everyone! Ever wonder if dragons really soar the skies, or if unicorns really have silver blood, or that howling during the full moon is a werewolf? Well, if you're like me, I've always been fascinated with such creatures. Join me now to learn the origins of these stories and many more in my series, Folklore, Legends, and Myths, Creature Feature Edition. If you're new here, welcome! Each week I create new look using Color Street nail strips, and in this series, we're going to uncover these legends and find out why they still enchant us to this day. If you're interested in unique color combos and want to join us on this mythological journey, I would highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Dragon in the mythologies, legends, and folk tales of various cultures are large lizards or serpent-like creatures conceived in some traditions as evil and others as kind-hearted. Though most people can easily picture a dragon, people's ideas and descriptions of dragons vary dramatically. Some dragons have wings, some speak or breathe fire, some are only a few feet long, while others span for miles. Some dragons live in palaces under the ocean, while others only can be found in caves or inside mountains. It is not clear when or where stories of dragons first emerged, but the huge flying serpents were described at least as early as the age of the ancient Greeks and Sumerians. For much of history, dragons were thought as being like any other mythical animal, sometimes useful and protective, other times harmful and dangerous. They are among the most popular and enduring of the world's mythological creatures. Dragon tales are known in many cultures, from the Americans to Europe, and from India to China. They have a long and rich history in many forms and continue to be popular in our books, films, and television shows. In the medieval Europe, dragons were usually depicted with wings, a barbed tail, and would breathe fire. In Greece, the word dragon, from which the English word was derived, was used originally for any large serpent and the dragon mythology. Whatever shape it later assumed remained essentially a snake. The word dragon comes from the ancient Greek word drakonda, meaning to watch, suggesting that the beast guards treasures such as mountains of gold coins or gems. But this doesn't really make sense, since creatures as powerful as a dragon surely doesn't need to pay for anything, right? It's probably more of symbolic treasure, not for the hoarding dragon, but instead a reward for the brave knights who vanquished the evil beast. In the Middle Eastern world, where snakes are large and deadly, the serpent or dragon was symbolic of the principle of evil. For example, the Egyptian god Apep was the great serpent of the world of darkness. But the Greeks and Romans, though accept the Middle Eastern idea of the serpent as evil power, also at times conceived dragons as sympathetic. However, the evil reputation of the dragons was stronger, and in Europe it outlived the other. The Chaldean dragon had 4 legs, a scaly body, and wings, whereabouts the biblical dragon in Revelations, the old serpent, had many heads like the Greek goddess Hydra. Because they not only possessed both protective and terror-inspiring qualities, but also had decorative effigies, dragons were used early as warlike emblems, as indicated in the story of King Agamemnon from Homer's Iliad, who had on his shield a blue 3-headed snake, and in the practice among Norse warriors of painting dragons on their shields and carving dragon heads on the prows of their ship. In Egyptian mythology, Apep is a giant serpent creature who resides in the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. In the Bremer papyrus, written around 310 BC, preserves an account of a much older Egyptian tradition that the setting of the sun is caused by Ra descending to the Duat to battle Apep. In some accounts, Apep is as long as the height of 8 men with a head made of flint. Thunderstorms and earthquakes were thought to be caused by Apep's roar, and solar eclipses were thought to be the result of Apep attacking Ra during the daytime. In some myths, Apep is slain by the god Set. Nehebkau is another giant serpent who guards the Duat and aids Ra in his battle against Apep. He is so massive in some stories, the entire earth was believed to rest on top of his coils. Demwin is a giant serpent mentioned in the pyramid text whose body was made of fire, who ignited a huge fire that nearly destroyed all the gods of Egypt. He was ultimately defeated by the pharaoh, a victory which affirmed the pharaoh's divine right to rule. In East Asian mythologies, the dragon retains its prestige and is conceived as a beneficent creature. The Chinese dragon represents Yang, the principle of heaven, activity, and maleness in the yin and yang of Chinese cosmology. From ancient times, it was the emblem of the imperial family. Until the founding of the Republic in 1911, the dragon adorned the Chinese flag. The dragon came to Japan with much of the rest of Chinese culture, and there it became capable of changing its size at will, even to the point of becoming invisible. Both Chinese and Japanese dragons, though regarded as powerful as the air, are usually wingless. Dragons also figure in the ancient mythologies of other Asian cultures, including those of Korea, India, and Vietnam. That changed when Christianity spread across the world. Christianity confused the ancient benevolent and malevolent serpent deities in a common condemnation. In Christian art, the dragon came to be a symbol of sin and paganism, and was depicted beneath the heels of saints and martyrs. Dragons took on a decidedly sinister interpretation and came to represent Satan. In the medieval times, most people who had heard anything about dragons knew them from the Bible, and it is likely that most Christians at the time believed in the literal existence of dragons. After all, Leviathans, no, not the ones from Supernatural, they are described as massive monsters with rows of shields tightly sealed together on their back. Smoke pours from their nostrils, and their eyes are rays of dawn, and flames stream from their mouth. This is all from the book of Job, chapter 41. The belief in dragons were based not just in the legend, but also in hard evidence, or at least that's what people thought long ago. For millennia, no one knew what to make of the giant bones that were occasionally unearthed around the globe, and dragons seemed to be the logical choice for people who had no knowledge of dinosaurs. In the book An Extinct of Dragons in 2000, Dave E. Jones suggested that the hypothesis that humans, like monkeys, had inherited instinctive reactions to snakes, large cats, and birds of prey. He cited a study that would found approximately 39 out of 100 people are afraid of snakes, and notes that fear of snakes is especially predominant in children, even in areas where snakes are rare. The earliest attested dragons all resembled snakes or have snake-like attributes. Jones therefore concluded that dragons appear in nearly all cultures because humans have an innate fear of snakes and other animals that were major predators of humans' primate ancestors. Dragons are usually said to reside in dank caves, deep pools, wild mountains, sea bottoms, and haunted forests, all places which would have been danger of early human ancestors. Dragons are one of the few monsters cast in mythology primarily as powerful and fearsome opponents to be slain. They don't simply exist for their own sake. They exist largely as a foil to bold adventurers. Other mythical beasts such as trolls, elves, and fairies interact with people, sometimes mischievously, sometimes helpful, but their main role is not to be combative. The Christian Church created legends of righteous and godly saints battling and vanquishing Satan in the form of dragons. The most celebrated of these was Saint George the Dragon Slayer, who in legend came upon a town threatened by a terrible dragon. He rescues a fair maiden, protects himself with the sign of the cross, and slays the beast. The town citizens, impressed by St. George's feat of faith and bravery, immediately convert to Christianity. Vanquishing a dragon is not only an important career opportunity for any ambitious saint, knight, or hobbit, but according to legend, it is also the way to raise armies. Scholars believed that the fire-breathing element of dragons came from medieval descriptions of the mouth of hell. For example, art by a Dutch painter, among others, the entrance to hell was often depicted as a monster's literal mouth, with the flames and smoke characteristics of Hades belching out. If one believed not only in the literal existence of hell, but also the literal existence of dragons as satanic, the association is quite logical. So, are they real? Medieval theory aside, few people today believe in the literal existence of dragons in the way they may believe in the existence of Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, for example. The dragon is simply too big and too fantastic to be taken seriously or literally. In the modern age of satellite imagery and smartphone photos and videos, it's simply implausible that any giant wing fire breathers inhabit Earth's land or skies unseen. However, only a few centuries ago, rumors of dragons seemed to be confirmed by eyewitness accounts from sailors returning from Indonesia who reported encountering dragons. These dragons ended up being Komodo dragons, a type of lizard, which can be aggressive, deadly, and can reach 10 feet in length. In a possible parallel to dragons, it is previously believed the bite of Komodo dragon was especially deadly because of toxic bacteria in its mouth. Though this myth was debunked in 2013 by a team of researchers from the University of Queensland, who discovered that the Komodo dragon's mouth are no dirtier than those of other carnivores. Western scientists only verified the existence of Komodo dragons around 1910, but rumors and stories of these fearsome beasts circulated long before that. Dragons, in one form or another, have been around for millennia and are prevalent in epic fantasy fiction like J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, J.K. Rowling's The Harry Potter series, and George R.R. Martin, A Song of Ice and Fire turned into the TV series Game of Thrones. Dragons have continued to spark our collective imagination and show no signs of dying out. Thanks for hanging out with me today. What do you think? Did these creatures really soar the skies ages ago? We'll see you for the next one.